Hi everyone, welcome to the channel diversification course that is taking place within the Business Resilience Program that is run by a joint program with OZ and Dare to Innovate. I'm very happy to have you here and walk you through this course, during which we will be learning a lot of things around what does the concept of channel diversification mean? What are some of the challenges to not having it? How can we overcome those challenges? And how can we thrive with more than one channel, diversified sales channel? My name is Emanuela, and I will be your instructor throughout this course. I'm very happy to have you here, and let's get started. So, like I previously mentioned, during this session, we will basically be learning very specific things. First and foremost, you will understand what the concept of channel diversification is and break that down into very simple terms. We would go through the challenges of not having a diversified sales channel, right? There's some of the reasons why a single sales channel is considered unsustainable for your business. You would talk through the role in social media and e-commerce in helping us diversify some of these sales channels. And then last but not the least, we will go through how OZE can help us build a diversified sales channel and knowing what sales channels are suited better to the different types of businesses that we have. Okay, so right off the bat, I mean, channel diversification sounds like a very complex word, but in very, very simple terms, what this means is having more than one sales channel. We live in a business environment that is sometimes turbulent and shaky and unstable and also very, very uncertain. You never know, what the society or what the world is going to throw at us globally. And we need to be able to adjust to some of these new realities. Right? For instance, we had COVID as an example of a situation that kind of threw us off the balance of our natural order of doing business. And to adopt to those kinds of situations, we need to create strategies in place in our business to help us become resilient. Channel diversification is an example of one of those types of strategies, right? We have this lovely diagram that explains to us very clearly what it means to have multiple sales channel or a diversified sales channel. Right, Boutique Bakery is an example, and this is the business that will be with us throughout the course of this program that we're going through. And here we're seeing channel diversification in the context of Boutique Bakery means that not only do they have a physical location or physical bakery where they sell their products, they also have an OZE shop. And we will go through much later slides what an OZE shop is and how that can help you with your business. Right? Boutique Bakery also has social media sales channels, meaning that they sell their products through Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp or Telegram or some of these other sales e-commerce channels that exist for us to take advantage of. Right? We also see that Boutique Bakery has a sales channel on a website, meaning they have an online shop that you can go to place an order for whatever it is that they sell and you can buy it. Right, so we see in this example of Boutique Bakery that they have 4 different sales channels. And so in the event that one of these channels kind of takes a loss or is suffering and able to close sales deals or get users to come visit, there's other things to fall back on, right? If we take the example of COVID, for instance, what this means for their business is that there's a lot of customers that would be unable to come into the physical store to buy some of their goods. And because they have other sales channels here, that doesn't necessarily mean that they've lost a lot of business. It means that they have other channels that they could send these potential users to, and they could buy their goods there, and they're still able to retain a lot of those customers and not lose them because they only have one sales channel. Right, so we talked a little bit using the example of Boutique Bakery around why it's important to have more than one sales channels. On this slide, we're going to kind of take through bullet by bullet point, what some of these important things are and what some of these dangers of having one single sale are. Our first danger of single sales is limited reach. Relying solely on one sales channel restricts your access to potential customers who prefer other platforms and methods of shopping, or also who just don't have access to these other forms. If we take the example of boutique bakery in the previous slide, during COVID, they would have struggled to have people come into the store. And so if that was the only source of a sales channel they had, there's immediately a limitation as to how people can reach them, because there's no other way to reach them except to go into the store, right? We also have situations where sometimes people prefer the comforts of just sitting in their house and placing an order on WhatsApp, or going onto the websites, or going on Instagram or Facebook to buy things without having to physically look around or exert so much energy to find this product. And the danger with single sales is we lose out on the ability to capture some of these preferences that potential customers have as to how they like to shop. The second danger to single sales is a vulnerability to disruptions. Depending on one channel exposes your business to higher risks in case of changes, such as external factors like the global pandemic. This is something we've all lived through. So we all have a very clear, really understanding of the experience of what that means to be in a global pandemic and how that can affect your business, right? So I'm sure you've all had situations in which, if you had a physical store, for instance, your store had to be shut down, or you had less open hours than you previously did. And because of these changes, because of the effect of these external factors of the global pandemic, you aren't able to have as many people come into your store as you would like, or as you previously had. And so if you don't have the comfort of a second sales channel, you leave your business completely vulnerable to face the full brunt of this challenge, of this external factor. And these are the kind of things that could completely cripple a business. The third danger of a single sale channel is the missed sales opportunities. Different channels attract different types of customers. And so focusing on just one may cause you to overlook potential sales from other segments. So let's think of segments in this case as an age preference. Right? We have a younger generation who are more technology savvy and have a preference for technological solutions than some other age groups or age gaps. And so, you could potentially be opening yourself up to a whole new market that is different from the one that you currently serve, if you expand and diversify your sales channel to capture different areas where you're likely to find different types of clients. The fourth danger of a single sales channel is that you lose competitive advantage. Competitors may capture your market share by reaching customers through multiple platforms. And so firstly here, the concept of market share is, if you are selling baked goods, for instance, your market share in this context, or in any context really, is the amount of people who like to sell baked goods in your town, or in your community, or in the country that you serve, that you're able to reach, right? And so if you have just one sales channel, right, you're not the only baker in that community, in that town, or even on that street, right? There's probably so many others who are making delicious baked goods that are just as good as yours. And you're essentially then fighting for the same customers. And to continuously have a competitive edge over these businesses that are identical or similar to yours, you want to be able to diversify your reach. You want to be able to spread your sales risk. And so all of it is not trapped into one channel, but that risk of acquiring customers, or is kind of spread through different channels where you can acquire some through physical store, you can acquire some through WhatsApp, you can acquire some through Instagram, you can acquire some through, through having a website. And finally, the fifth danger of single sales channel is lack of flexibility for a customer experience. A single sales channel may not provide the flexibility needed to create a seamless shopping journey. And so this is also very closely related to the preferences of, sales preferences of your customer. For instance, you could have a customer who wants to have the experience of having things delivered to him as opposed to him kind of going out of his way to find it. But then he also wants to be able to complete that whole customer journey in one platform, right? He wants to be able to go on a website and look for the things that he wants to buy for the business, and then place the order there and have it place the delivery from there as well, as opposed to sometimes a very fragmented experience where you go into the shop you actually physically have to go into the shop to buy it, you have to pick it up, you have to bring it back, or maybe you don't want to have to deal with some of those challenges. Or let's say you use WhatsApp where you might have to call to tell what you want to buy and then go into your bank app to either make a transfer either through mobile money or through your bank transfer or through your card, and then come back and give a proof of payment into WhatsApp and then request for delivery. And so some of that fragmentation in that journey is things that the user might not necessarily enjoy. And being able to offer different sales that are capturing the full cycle of a customer journey is something that is great to consider as okay. So let's go through a very real example or a case study of how a business might, react to having a single sales channel versus having multiple sales channels. So in the earlier slides, I introduced to you Boutique Bakery, who is going to be on this journey with us as our reference for any example that I will be giving you throughout this course. I'm going to take a second here and read out this case so you can listen to me. You're also welcome to pause me at this point and read this yourself. Once a bustling bakery nestled in the heart of Lagos's commercial center, Boutique Bakery has seen a significant decline in sales since the lockdown has made it impossible for customers to walk into the store. Boutique Bakery was established in 2019 in central Victoria Island. It is well known for having the best glazed donuts in the land. Usually, their box of 6 glazed donuts are their most sold out product. Every day between 11 to 1 p.m., the line into the store wraps around the entire street with people walking down during their lunch break to buy these donuts. Their location was a great business decision because of its proximity to major offices, which ensured that there were always customers flocking in and out of the store. Unfortunately, COVID hit and the donut sales declined. Because of remote work and stay-at-home mandates, the number of customers going into Boutique Bakery's donut shop has now declined, right? So we've seen a similar example to what I've been giving around, this is a business that their primary sales channel was their shop. People would come into the shop and a lot of people would come into the shop. But now that we are living through a global pandemic and there are stay-at-home mandates, meaning people can't come into their houses, people can't come out into their offices as much as they used to, and then people are working from home. And because their location was centrally in like commercial parts of Lagos, that's a region that was closed during the pandemic because everybody was working from their house. So the crowd that they would usually get during working hours goes down. And what that means is that their profits goes down as well. And they begin to kind of struggle as a business. So Let's now measure the business performance of boutique bakery, and then we will also have the experience of having you try this out yourself. So let's look at the pre-COVID performance. We will look at the performance during COVID, and we will look at the performance post-COVID. Right, so the number of customers that they would have at the physical shop, they would have about 200 customers coming to the shop. The volume of goods sold, and the volume of goods sold here refers to the number of boxes of those glazed donuts that they sold was 830, and their selling price was $15, right? With this information, we can calculate their total revenue, and we can also calculate their total sales volume. And so their total revenue here puts them at $3,000. And their total sales volume, which means the total volume of all of the boxes of glazed donuts that they've sold, is about 600,000 units, which is very close to 1 million from a business point of view. Let's look at now their performance during COVID, where they didn't have as many people coming into the shop, and they didn't have any other channel to kind of help retain some of those customers that they were going to lose because they couldn't come into the shop anymore, right? So we've seen during COVID, the number of customers coming into the physical shop went down to 50 from 200. The volume of the goods sold went down to 150 units from 830. And their selling price, they kept it the same. And usually sometimes businesses, in situations like this, businesses have the option to kind of play around with the selling price. Like, do we want to increase it so that we can make more profits? Do we want to leave it the same as it is? Because if we increase it, people are going to think it's now too expensive and they wouldn't want to buy from us anymore. And so they made the smart choice of leaving the price that they were selling their donuts for as the same as previous, because they run the risk of losing customers by making their product more expensive. And so with this information, we can calculate that their total revenue during COVID was $750, which is a significant drop from $3,000 in revenue that they had made before. And their total sales volume went down to 37,500 boxes of donuts from 600,000 during the pre-COVID era. You know, it was a struggle clearly, but they didn't completely go bankrupt. And now it's post-COVID and they're trying to recoup some of their losses. And this is where we're going to see a little bit of a change here, right? So of course, as post-COVID, some people are starting to trickle back into the office. And because more people are starting to come back into the office, it means they're starting to get more clients, right? Because offices are open, people are going to come into their shop to buy their lunches there. And so we're seeing an increase in the number of customers at the physical store going up to 85. We're seeing the volume of your goods sold, of course, going up to 340 units, because if there's more people, then it just tells us that there's going to be more things that they're selling as well. What we're seeing interesting here, though, is that their selling price has gone up. And part of the reason why they've done this is because of the loss that they took during COVID. In order for their business not to completely fail, they need to increase their profit margins. And by increasing, in order to increase their profit margins, they need to increase the revenue that they're making. And there's one of two ways that they could increase their revenue. It's either they start selling more, which, you know, they are doing better than they did during COVID, but it's going to take so much more effort to acquire new customers into the store, or they increase the price that they're selling their products at. And so even if, you know, even if the number of people that they're selling to doesn't go up, their revenue will go up because they are now selling it at a more expensive price. And so they've increased their selling price by $5. So it's now $20 as opposed to $15. And what this means now is that their total revenue is now $1,700. And total revenue is calculated by multiplying the number of people you sold your product to, so the customers at the physical shop, times the selling price. That puts us at $1,700 US. And because they're selling to more people, it means that their volume of the product that they're selling is going up as well. This has gone up to 340. Because this has gone up as well, their total sales volume has also gone up. And that now puts us at 28,900 boxes of donuts that they have sold in this post-COVID era. In the next slide, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about what are some of the things that you noticed just looking at this case study, and what are some of the things here that you can apply to your business. But before we go into that, I want to give you guys the opportunity to try this experiment for yourself using your own businesses. If you can, you don't have to be as accurate. You can be as accurate as you can in trying to remember your business performance, in the pre-COVID era, during the COVID era, or in the post-COVID era. Or you can just be flexible and freestyle and putting, numbers that you, just putting any numbers that you like, just to see how these things affect one another. And so right here on the right, you'll see a barcode that says scan me. I'm going to pause for a second now. You're welcome to just pause me at this point. And you can scan this barcode and it will take you to a sheet to try out this same experiment for your own business. Okay, I hope you had a really fun time kind of experimenting with that experiment yourself, and just playing around with the numbers and plugging and playing. I also hope that you were able to, for those of you who were able to accurately remember your business performance and were using that information, I hope you were able to kind of gain good enough insights into your general performance and give you some direction as to, okay, this is how I performed in the past. What are some of the things I would like to change or apply in the future, or in the coming days and months? And so as we wrap up this part, I just want us to remember that embracing channel diversification mitigates risks and opens up new growth opportunities for your business. By adopting multiple sales channels, you can better serve your customers and stay ahead in a rapidly evolving market. Now, moving on to the second phase of this module, which is the role of e-commerce in helping us diversify a sales channel. Essentially, what this means is thinking through, with websites and the internet, like how are ways that we can position our business from a sales point of view to become more resilient? What role does e-commerce play in helping us build out multiple sales channels, just so that we're able to avoid some of the pitfalls of having one single sales channel? And this experience is going to be a little bit more interactive. I hope that you enjoy this. So we remember earlier in the cases when we were looking at boutique bakery's performance, and we did that business performance analysis on themselves. But then we also did that. You guys also have the opportunity to do that for your own businesses. Now let's imagine an alternative scenario where boutique bakery didn't just have a physical store. They also had other sales channels that they were using. And let's see how they performed differently, right? So, beyond just the physical shop that they had, they also had customers who were placing orders for their business through Instagram and WhatsApp. They also had their Oze shop set up, so people could buy some of these donuts and other bake products from their Oze shop. And let's see how much more differently they performed during COVID and post-COVID, right? So the two things that have changed here, the three things that have changed here is now we have slightly more customers, right? We have customers that we're acquiring through Instagram and WhatsApp, and pre-COVID, that was about 20 customers. And we have those that we're acquiring through Oze Shop, that is also about 20 customers. And the volume of goods sold here to the customers coming to the physical shop, the customers going to Instagram or WhatsApp and customers going to Ozy Shop is 1,000 units. And the selling price is again $15. This puts their total revenue at $3,600 and their total sales volume at 240,000. One of the things I want to highlight here is when calculating total revenue, in the previous slides, in the previous case, we saw that total revenue is calculated by multiplying the number of customers at the shop, so the number of people that you sold to times the selling price. And so what we would do here is that we would add the 3 different customers. We will add the 200 customers at the physical shop, plus the 20 customers buying through Instagram and WhatsApp, plus the 20 customers buying through the Ozy Shop. And we will multiply that total by the selling price to get our total revenue for the business pre-COVID. We would do the same during COVID, and we would do the same post-COVID. One of the things I want us to note here is the increase in customers buying through Instagram and WhatsApp and through Ozy Shop during COVID and post-COVID. And as we're looking at that, let's also look at the customers buying at the physical shop, right? So we're seeing that during COVID, they lost about 100 users who came to the physical shop. But we also noticed that they gained some customers through WhatsApp and Instagram and through Ozy Shop. And what this tells us is that they actually didn't lose those customers completely. They were able to retain them through another sales channel. And so let's say of the 100 that stopped coming to the physical shop, these are people who just weren't coming to the office anymore. And so they didn't want to go into the store, and they couldn't go into the store. But then they really enjoyed the donuts and wanted to be able to continue to buy them. Because Boutique Bakery has other sales channels, those customers can now decide, you know what, I'm going to send WhatsApp to their business, or I'm going to message them on Instagram and place an order through there and have them delivered to me. Or I'm just going to go online to their Ozy Shop and buy it on the Ozy Shop and have it delivered to me from the Ozy Shop. And so we're able to retain those customers in a different sales segment than they previously were. And what this has done is it has allowed us to sustain our total revenue, where because we didn't lose those customers completely and we're able to retain them in a different form, we were also able to keep our selling price low. And even though the total volume of goods sold went down, meaning that, let's say these people had less of a purchasing power, meaning that they weren't buying as many as they used to, we still made the same amount of revenue that we made in the previous period, which is the pre-COVID period, meaning with less people, with less of a volume and the same selling price, we were able to still make the same amount of money. And these are some of the things that are so great about diversifying your sales channel, is it makes you so resistant by spreading the risk. And so you don't have one sales channel absorbing all of the risk if something should come and disrupt that channel or disrupt your business. And now let's even look at their performance post-COVID, where they lost more people coming to the physical shop. And what happens here is that some of these other sales channels are giving them a more enjoyable customer experience. And so in slide 2, we talked about some of the dangers of single sales. And one of the things that we mentioned was the limitation around customer experience, right? What we're seeing here is these other 2 sales channels actually more align with the preferences that your customers have. They're convenient, they don't require so much effort, and people just like them more. And so based on that preference, you might have a lot less people coming into the shop, but then those customers are now going to some of these different channels that they just like better because they're enjoying that customer journey better. And that's why we're seeing, the customer shop the customers at the shop post-COVID go down, but then the customers buying through Instagram and WhatsApp also significantly going up. And what we're seeing here is like the kind of best user experience is coming from Oze Shop. And I think that has to do a lot with the kind of end-to-end process of it being in one single spot, as opposed to the fragmented experience of going to Instagram and then going to WhatsApp and then going to your bank app to pay. Whereas Oze Shop allows you to do all of those things in one single place. We also notice that because of how significantly the customers buying through some of these sales channel increased post-COVID, the volume of goods and services sold, and so the number of units that were sold actually went up. And because these two things were high, they didn't need to increase the price to kind of make more profits or offset some of the losses during COVID, because they actually didn't lose very much during COVID in terms of revenue. And what that does is that it sets you up better for success, because their revenue stayed flat during COVID, pre-COVID, but post-COVID, the revenue went up to $4,500. And I think this kind of scenario is something, that you should really model in your businesses, and you should really try to adopt in how you do your businesses, because it really does set you up for success, knowing that you can spread that risk and the return is very outsized. And so one of the things I now want us to do is kind of look at this side by side for boutique bakeries business. How do they perform with one single sales channel versus how do they perform with multiple sales channels, pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID? You can, at this point, you can now pause me to take your time and look at these things and see what are some of the things that are striking you, that are striking a chord with you, that you can feel like you can relate to. What are some of the observations that you're making? So as you guys paused me to observe the patterns in these two scenarios, I also paused myself to take some time and make some comparisons or talk about my own observations from the two examples of your business performance. And so I will tell you what I learned. I learned that with businesses with diverse sales channels have more pricing control because they don't always have to increase their selling prices during hard times. I also learned that businesses with diverse sales channels are able to reacquire the in-store customers they lose as online customers. And then finally, I learned that even though the sales volume goes down during COVID, the total revenue increases because they now have more people buying less. And so I'm throwing the question back to you. You should take some time in your notes and just think through what are some of the things that you learned from looking at these two side-by-side scenarios, and what are the things that you would like to apply to your businesses as well. Now, e-commerce plays a very crucial role in helping us diversify a sales channel because they transform the way businesses connect with their customers. E-commerce helps businesses expand reach beyond their traditional boundaries. And so if your traditional boundary, as we've been talking about through this module, is a single sales channel, which is your physical store, you are limited by that traditional boundary of having just your single physical store for people to come into. And e-commerce now allows us to expand beyond that. It allows us to have a website. It allows us to set up a sales platform on Instagram. It allows us to set up WhatsApp business so people can buy through WhatsApp as well. It allows us to do the same thing on Facebook. Right? With online platforms, people can access the global audience operating as an additional channel alongside physical stores and remains accessible to the customers 24/7. And this is one of the great things about it, and this is one of the things that physical stores can never open, is with physical stores, you have working hours that are 9 to 5 some places, 8 to 6 some places. But then after that, your sales attendants have to go home. You have to kind of close the shop for the day so you can now do some of your personal record keeping or business management or just, performance analysis of how did you do in the day. And that's a limitation, right? Because what if you sell something that people could still benefit from buying after working hours? Do they now have to wait the next day? And in that process of waiting for the next day, could they now just decide, you know what, actually, maybe I don't want this anymore and I can do without it. Whereas with e-commerce enabling sales diversification, your online presence, your online sales channels become accessible to them at any time of the day, whether it's 2 a.m. in the morning, whether it's 9 p.m. at night, whether it's 6 in the morning. They can always go on your website and place an order. You can always go on your Instagram and place an order. You can always do the same thing on WhatsApp Business. In terms of risk management, e-commerce helps reduce the dependency on a single sales channel by mitigating the impacts of disruptions or market changes. This diversification ensures businesses' continuity even during challenging times. Furthermore, e-commerce platforms offer a personalized shopping experience, utilizing customer data to provide tailored product recommendations and simplify the checkout process with various payment options. So now we have a little bit of a background around how e-commerce is important to this process of diversification. And we've been seeing a little bit of that in the slides leading up to this slide. Now, what I want you guys to think about is, what are the things to consider as you're deciding which e-commerce platform is better for me, right? And it depends. It's not always the same for every business. It's not always the same, and it's different based on what are you selling, where are you selling it, what do your customers or people in the market that you operate like. What is the size of your business? What is the capacity of your business? And how flexible and adaptable are you? Right, so there's so many things to consider. You need to understand your customer audience. You need to analyze your products and your services. Some things work better than other things, depending on whether you're selling physical, tangible products or whether you're offering a service, right? Someone who has a market, whether you're selling agricultural products like tomatoes or maize or corn or wheat, would probably require a very different sales channel than someone who is a hairdresser and offers braiding services or wig making services. And so evaluating your channel fit is important. It's also important to consider competition, right? What are your competitors doing? And you want to think about why are they doing what you're doing? And based off of that, do you think it's better for you to kind of just follow the group and be like your competitors and operate in the same way that they do because of the challenges of trying something new? Or do you want to offer something that is completely new and unique and kind of stands out from what your competition is doing? You also have to think about how much money do you have and are you able to spend on this process of channel diversification? Because some are more expensive than others and some cost nothing, right? You have to think about channel integration. Which one kind of works more seamlessly with the business versus which one doesn't? You have to think about customer support. How reachable are you or are your sales attendants to your customers if they're shopping online and they're facing a challenge, for instance, and they need someone to help them navigate that challenge? You also have to think about the flexibility and adaptability of your business. So choosing a secondary channel is as fun, as exciting as it is an analytical process.